I'm thinking again about need, particularly the need we have, or we seem to have, just to be in a constant solving of the puzzle of the world. Isn't that bird? Anyway, yeah, we seem to have this constant puzzle solving process going on, which we don't feel, I don't think, unless it's frustrated because we don't recognise what we're seeing, or we're confronted by something unusual, or if we are ourselves in an unusual mind state, and then we experience frustration because our puzzle solving ability has been blocked somehow. But it seems to me that some people are kind of better at it than others. I'm not sure if better is the right word actually, but some people seem to have an enhanced ability to make some kind of coherent sense of the world, even if that coherence doesn't really make any, have any contact with reality. And here I suppose I'm reminded of some research I read about partially expressed genetic schizo-affective disorder. Partially expressed genetic schizo-affective disorder. What that is that there are certain schizo-affective disorders which are genetic, as the name implies, but and when they're fully expressed, when both parents, for example, have the gene for this particular disorder, and it's fully expressed in the offspring, it's a completely disabling, crippling disease, terrible condition. But when it's only partially expressed, i.e. it's only exists in one of the parents, so it's only partially expressed in the offspring, it isn't crippling. And what you often find in those individuals are certain characteristics, particularly things like an increased religiosity, an increased sense of order and meaning. So they often formulate very complex things like conspiracy theories or overarching systems of thought. They're very good at explaining things. They're very good at putting things together, even if to possibly a slightly more informed or more sceptical outsider, even if those great architectures of ideas don't actually make sense, or don't feel as if they make sense. So in a way, I think those individuals perhaps are just better at that need-solving thing, or have got a better. They've either got an enhanced set of mechanisms for solving the need, or for resolving the puzzle of the world and responding to the need that drives that puzzle solving process, or else they haven't got the checks and balances in place, which we would regard as skepticism, which prevents fallacious and false and incorrect constructions being made, incorrect bits of the jigsaw puzzle jammed in where they shouldn't belong, that kind of thing, just so that it can be made complete. Maybe. I was listening to a presentation on YouTube a while back, a lecture, I can't remember who it was, I'll see if I can find out. And this chap was talking about this partially expressed schizo-affective or psychoaffective disorder. And he was saying that, along with a number of other disorders, very clearly physiological disorders, that maybe this partially expressed form explains why it's persisted in the population. Because you would think that diseases, genetic diseases, would eventually just move out of the population. They'd be selected against, because they're clearly not advantageous, at least apparently so. So something like Tay-Sachs disease or sickle cell anemia, these are diseases which are still prevalent, but you would, and schizo-affective disorder, you would imagine these diseases were so deleterious that they would just eventually be winnowed out of the gene pool, but they're not. And apparently, certainly with Tay-Sachs and sickle cell anemia, the reason for that is that whilst in their fully expressed form they're deadly diseases, in their partially expressed form they actually have reproductive advantage or selective advantage. I can't remember which way around it is, but I think Tay-Sachs provides some kind of resistance to cholera, I think, partially expressed, and partially expressed sickle cell anemia, I think, provides some kind of resistance to malaria. So there is advantages, and those advantages are sufficient to keep them in the population, even though, as I say, in their fully expressed form they kill you. And the same may be true of schizo-affective disorder. In its fully expressed form it kills you, in its partially expressed form it turns you into a religious nutjob, put politely, or a person who seems to be able to make sense of the world, who can draw these connections, create them into these great architectures of thought, which in many societies, and probably in our society now actually even still, that's a really compelling function. You know, if we all are wandering through this world, you know, with this inbuilt need, what's it all about? What's it all mean? Well, there's this kind of nagging question that we all have subconsciously going on for us. If there's some guy or some woman who can say, this means this, it's this conspiracy explains it all, or this worldview, or these lizards from Mars did it, or you know, the government did it, or it's all n-dimensional yada 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 stuff. It's all made out of water, it's elephants all the way down. Whatever the explanation is that their florid imaginations can come up with would be very attractive, I think, to a slightly lost and needful population. I wouldn't be at all surprised if a lot of the shaman and priests and religious leaders of that kind in the past, certainly, and possibly still today, were great puzzle solvers, because they had partially expressed schizo-affective disorder.